All right, so it's time for a dangerous aside. We've already talked about the built-in function constructors and how they can be kind of neat, but they're also dangerous. Here's a simple example to show why built-in function constructors for primitive types, especially like Boolean, number, string, are dangerous. Let's say I have a variable a, which is 3, and a variable b, which is new number 3. If I say a equals b, that's true. Why? Because this coerces types. The double equals, that operator, looks at a and sees a primitive, looks at b and sees an object, and tries to convert them to the same type. And once it does, they're equal. But if I use the recommended triple equals, a and b are not equal. Why? Because a is a primitive and b is an object created with this function constructor. And the triple equals function, that operator, if it sees that the two things are not equal, it immediately returns false. Doesn't even try, doesn't even bother. It just says, nope, they're not the same type. There's no way they can be equal. Because in reality, these two things aren't equal. So do you see the danger there? By using built-in function constructors for creating primitives, you aren't really creating primitives. And strange things can happen during comparison with operators and coercion. It's better in general to not use the built-in function constructors. Use literals. Use the actual primitive values. And in cases where you absolutely have to use them, understand what you're doing to yourself. Understand that any kind of comparison needs to be against the same type. One other thing I want to note, what if you're dealing with dates that we already saw, where we use the date built-in function constructor? Well, there's an absolutely terrific library called moment.js. You can go to moment.js.com, and it wraps up a whole lot of functionality for dealing with, formatting, and doing math on dates. If you're going to do a lot of date work, I recommend you use this library instead of a lot of work with the built-in JavaScript date constructor. This helps out with some problems within that built-in constructor. So just know about moment.js, momentjs.com. That's very useful. But again, we just want to be certain we have this clear. It's dangerous to use function constructors, the built-in ones, for primitives. I can try to use them for conversion sometimes. I might say c equals number and then pass in a string 3. This time I'm just using it as a regular old function, not as the new keyword. And when I do that, c is the converted value. So that can be useful under certain circumstances. But understand again the difference there between using the new keyword and not. You're calling the function, and this you're creating an object. Calling the function and getting an object back. So that's just something to note about these things. Some new JavaScript developers use this all over the place, use these built-in function constructors without realizing they're creating objects, not primitives. So be aware, and let's move on.